Ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to Across the Pond. Professional wrestling. Professional wrestling. Tonight's main event includes a star-studded triple threat featuring from Long Island, New York, Court, Justin, and Ty. Let's ring the bell and get this podcast underway.
Welcome, everybody, to Across the Pond Professional Wrestling. We are back at it again like we always are, but this time it's only a tag team. We are missing Ty as he is working the overnight shift, unfortunately. So it is me and Court. Court, how are you doing? How was your week?
Good, man. I know you had a crazy week, amazing week. So congratulations, Mr. Married Man.
Thank you. Yes, it was a crazy week. Yeah. Before we get into any wrestling, I did get to marry the woman of my dreams. She's in the room right next to me, Maria. We also did, unfortunately, the morning of the wedding, unexpectedly, we lost one of my dogs, which is crazy. So PSA to any dog owners that are listening right now, check your yards for hidden mushrooms, because it appears that Harley, the night before, she found a mushroom, she ate it, and then overnight she ended up poisoning herself, and we found her at 7 a.m. We got her, we did CPR on her, my brother and my dad, shout out to them, and it was just too late by the time we got her to the vet. So just check your yards for mushrooms. Don't care if they're poisonous, not poisonous. I don't trust them. Take care of your pets, take care of your fur babies. But yeah, that's about it on that. Let's get into some SummerSlam, where I went 7-0, I believe. I'm humbly bragging here on predictions. 7-0. Court, we started off with Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley. Rhea, I think, actually dislocated her shoulder. I don't know if that's like what she can do now. Like maybe it's like a whatever they call it. A double jointed
or something. That was disgusting.
I don't know if that's like a new thing after she got hurt, or if she actually just re-hurt herself, but it was gross, like you just said, and the way that she forced it back in twice was insanity. That's why she is Rhea Bloody Ripley. Your thoughts on the match?
Yeah, I thought the match was what it was. I mean, it was a good match, but it was more about what was going to happen with Rhea and Dom and Liv and Dom, and we got the payoff that you had said you saw coming. We all kind of saw the writing on the wall. It just depended how they went about it. I think, looking back on it, seeing what Liv, what Dom did to go side with Liv, watching Rhea and Dom walk out was kind of like they realized, like, damn, this is the last time we're doing this, and we've been doing it for 2 years. And I think it makes sense what they're doing with the whole Judgment Day, which I know we're going to get into. I like what they're doing. I like that they're keeping it together. I like that they're doing no leader. They're just kind of all trying to be on the same page, and it works because Rhea and Damian were leaning towards babyface, and you can't get rid of Judgment Day, and you have to keep that heel stable there. They've been a strong piece for, was it like 2 years now at least?
It's been a while. It's crazy. Like I believe Ty brought it up, but like how crazy how far the Judgment Day have come ever since I believe it was at WrestleMania when Edge fought Finn Balor, I believe. I'm not too sure who Edge's opponent was, but Damian Priest came out and gave a little interference for Edge, and just to see where they've come and where they've gone is pretty incredible. But we're still going to see a little part of the Judgment Day running free and running wild, as we saw. But yeah, I mean, you had Dom end up being the one that interferes, and then he just lays the kiss right on Liv Morgan. He gives the finger to the crowd, and he went heel on heel on heel. He is the ultimate heel right now.
Yeah, I mean, he can't be a babyface. He's just got too much heat to ever be a babyface again. unless like 10 years down the line, Rey Mysterio comes back and they'd have to use Rey to swerve him. But it's just, he's got so much heat. It's just never ending. There was no other way to take it with Rhea coming back as such a babyface. And I thought they would play it out a little more, but it's been playing out for, months now, ever since Rhea went out, and Liv's been, harassing Dom and chasing Dom. And it was a good payoff. I think Metzler said it, like, that it was a payoff show. There was a lot of storylines that got paid off at SummerSlam. It wasn't like a top tier 1,000,000% wrestling show. There wasn't as many 5-star matches, stuff like that, but so many storylines progressed, and that's something that's really important, and WWE takes seriously, and it worked.
Yeah, and now I'm excited to see, like, because now we have this whole other story of the Judgment Day and Damian and Rhea. So, it opens up a brand new chapter to this. I think the Liv Morgan revenge tour is officially over now that she has taken everything that Rhea loved. So now she's just a part of this new Judgment Day, and I'm excited to see where it goes. I'm sure we'll dive into it a little bit more when we discuss Raw. But let's move into the next match. I think we all had this one. We had Braun Breaker take on Sami Zayn, and he beat him clean. That was it. It was his moment. I don't think we need to touch up much on this match. The dogs were barking, in Cleveland. The dog pound was barking for Braun Breaker. And I'm excited to see what, where he takes us. I know he already called John Cena out, so maybe on John Cena's farewell tour. I don't know. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I think we all kind of touched on it last week that Sammy's reign was kind of coming to an end, and it wasn't the best reign. It was it didn't feel right. It didn't feel very Sammy. I feel like it was just in between two places for him. And Braun is ready. He's proven it. He's a star. He's over. He's an athletic freak, just like his dad and his uncle. So I think it's good. It's time for a change up. We got lots of change ups at SummerSlam, and I think they're all heading towards the right direction. So we kind of touched on everything about Braun last week.
Talk about another change. We had LA Knight finally win his first WWE championship over the Maverick, Logan Paul. We discussed this, Logan Paul, he's great when he's in the ring. He is incredible when he is in the ring. Yeah, I think it was the springboard somersault or backflip off the rope. It was incredible. It was so flawless. It was perfect. I just wish we got to see him a little bit more. I would have loved for him to continue to be the champion. But when you're fighting on that Roman Reigns schedule, it gets old quickly. And I'm glad, to see LA Knight win. I'm excited to see what he can do. And, it sucks that Logan lost in his home state, but it is what it is. Any thoughts on that match?
Yeah, I thought the match was amazing. I think, again, something we touched on when we talked about SummerSlam was that we were all very excited when Logan became U.S. champ, and very quickly we realized that he wasn't going to be around and he wasn't going to defend it as much as we had hoped he would. Like we said, he took it around and it got some star power and people saw it and held it and all that, but it was time. It's LA Knight's time. It's been it for a while. The match was awesome. I saw an interview with Logan Paul and Undertaker this week that he talks about how the ref, he told the ref to slyly wipe the rope so that he didn't slip. And for a guy that's that new to realize okay, the big moment can be screwed up when I slip on a rope if it gets oiled up. Very smart, and he's even if he's not around as much as we would like him to be, I think that he's a good guy that you can throw into a Royal Rumble, WrestleMania. He doesn't need to be there week to week. He's just one of those faces that's just going to pop up, and I'm cool with it.
So it's funny that you bring up the Logan Paul Undertaker podcast, because I did want to mention something from that. But perhaps with, I think he's learned from his mistakes with the spot with Ricochet. That was a blunder where he almost broke his neck off the springboard, off the ropes, because it was slippery. But speaking of the Undertaker, I found it interesting. Now, I don't know if it was just because he was on Logan Paul's podcast and he was just trying to give him a little, a little bump there. But he said that Logan made the United States Championship relevant again. Now, I'm just curious as to your thoughts on that, because coming from the Undertaker, he's the godfather of wrestling. Everyone respects him. And like we've said, like he brought the title around everywhere. If he was at a UFC fight, the title was with him. If with Trump, he had the title with him. With everything, he had the title with him. But he only defended the title 3-4 times in over a year. So I'm just wondering, like, how is that bringing relevancy back to the United States Championship?
I didn't see that clip. I didn't watch the whole interview, but I have a feeling that he means kind of what I said, where he was bringing it to championship events. And, as U.S. title, U.S. champion, you don't do like all the media like Cody does. He doesn't do the morning shows. He doesn't do as much. So he has to like do his own thing, which is fine because he's got podcasts and all these celebrity friends. And so I think more it was on that ground rather than in ring, because he didn't defend it. And Taker would probably be one of the first guys to not be cool with that. A champion needs to be around. He needs to be a part of it. But yeah, bring in relevancy. Like if you see like a superstar like Patrick Mahomes or Travis Kelce or something like that, and you bring on the U.S. title, they might not know what it is. They'll know what the World Heavyweight Championship looks like, but they wouldn't know what the U.S. title looks like, especially with all the title changes over the years. It doesn't have the same look. So it's just, I think it definitely brought relevancy back, just not in the wrestling. I think it's more like a pop culture celebrity media thing rather than like in the wrestling respect.
Yeah, it just, I don't know. I guess it was just a little weird coming from, The Undertaker, because usually when you're bringing relevancy, you're defending the title night in and night out. And that title is a workhorse championship. And, just the fact that came from The Undertaker was just a little interesting to me. But moving right along, we had Nia Jax defeat Bayley. I know you and Ty thought maybe we were going to get that Tiffany Stratton cash in, and it looked like, it was teased. It was definitely teased, but it didn't come to fruition. Nia Jax beats Bayley clean. I feel bad for Bayley. I don't like, I think you said it last week on the go home pod to SummerSlam. This title reign was kind of meh for Bayley. So just any quick words on that match?
Yeah, I feel the same way. I mean, I think Bayley is a superstar, and I get why they're pushing Nia Jax, and I get the Tiffany stuff, and I don't hate it. I think it's fine that she's champion. I just think Bayley deserved kind of a better run after coming back from injury, and she was up and down with injuries the past couple of years, and she didn't really get a solid run in the past 3 years. When was she? About 3 years. So it was quick. There was nothing really to write home about. I would like to see her get it back sooner rather than later, which I don't really see that happening because I feel like they're going to play with this Stratton cash-in stuff with Nia, and it's just going to kind of be there. So I don't see Bayley like taking it back right away, which sucks. But that's just the way that things happen sometimes. You just have to go with the ebbs and flows of a story. So it just sucks for Bayley, but it's whatever for me. I think Nia Jax deserves championship reign. It just sucks that it was at Bayley's demise.
Yeah, and you always, after a champion loses, you always have to think what's next. So like even for Logan Paul, like what's next for him? I know he filed a lawsuit against LA Knight for the damages to his Prime truck, but like what's next for him? Is he gonna still continue with LA Knight? Now it's like with Bayley, does she get her rematch? I don't know what's really going to go on there. Maybe I had in the back of my head, I know that Damage Control is kind of at odds with Shayna Baszler and her whole little group, Zoe Stark, and I'm blanking out on her name right now. But anyway, those three. Maybe since Dakota Kai's hurt, maybe there's a reunion there. I don't know, because you're out Asuka, you're out Dakota Kai. So now you have Io Sky, Kairi Sane, and you're still missing someone. So I don't know if they can maybe mend fences there to where Bayley is relevant in a Damage Control story again. It's just me putting thoughts out there. I'm curious to see what they do with her next.
Yeah, it's kind of like she's kind of at a standstill right now, and I don't see her going back to Damage Control just because it would feel like why did we do all this then? But yeah. I don't really know what else there is for her on SmackDown besides, like you said, Shayna Baszler and her crew, and I I don't really know. It's going to be interesting to see SmackDown this week and where they take a lot of these angles, and that's one of the ones I'll be looking at. I don't see her getting a rematch right away. Logan Paul, I see him be gone for a while, maybe come back at the Rumble, come back in Survivor Series, something like that. I feel like he's going to disappear for a little while, which he's been disappeared, so it doesn't really feel like anything different. Just now we have the U.S. title back around an active competitor.
And then, talking about finally getting into active competitors, we finally get to see the singles premiere of the returning CM Punk finally after injury. We had the match that a lot of us were waiting for, Drew McIntyre versus CM Punk with the special guest referee, Seth frickin' Rollins. I told you guys the episode before SummerSlam, the only thing that I want out of this is CM Punk to not get hurt. That was the main thing. I thought Punk looked great. I thought the match was great. I thought it told a story. I believe you actually mentioned it. You thought that Seth Rollins would come out in some HBK-like gear from 97, and I think they paid homage to that match pretty much to a T. You had the chair spot where Seth pulls the chair away from, I believe it was Drew, and then almost hit CM Punk. So there was a lot of homage paid to that triple threat match. What are your thoughts? I know we both thought that Drew McIntyre was going to win. We think the right guy won, and now we're going to finally hopefully get Bad Blood, Hell in a Cell between the two to finally really settle it.
Yeah, I thought it was everything it needed to be. It wasn't like a 5-star, wrestling classic, but that's not what it was going to be anyway. These guys wanted to beat the crap out of each other. They beat the crap out of each other. Seth did his thing as ref. It worked. I think Punk looked a little winded in the beginning, and then he really it kind of hit him, and he got back in overdrive, which was good. He didn't look like he was hurt. Drew didn't look like he was hurt. Seth looked okay. And that's really what we were worried about, somebody getting hurt in this match, because if we had to lose Punk again, that would be, I don't know how we come back from that. So they got it done. Good match. Great story. The right guy won, like we said. It was Drew. Drew needed the win. If Punk won, even if it was like a messed up screw job by Seth, or he was trying to screw Punk and he screwed Drew instead, anything like that, I just feel like it wouldn't have worked. Punk would have had just too many wins on Drew. It just, even if they weren't official wins, just he's done too many things for Drew to be active against him. And now we're definitely going to get something like Bad Blood, which I think is in October in Georgia, right?
Yes, I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, there'll be something. Hell in a Cell, Last Man Standing. I quit. I don't know, something.
And because obviously Drew still has the bracelet, so that's the key to all of this. But I do like how Punk's emotions boiled over with Rollins, and that ultimately cost him the match. So I don't think he's done with Rollins, although we will get into Rollins on Raw. We might not see him for a little bit. They wrote him off for the injury that he's nursing. But I know one person that is very happy with the Drew McIntyre outcome, and that is Wade Barrett. Because obviously, if you've seen, Wade Barrett is friends with Drew, and throughout this whole thing has been very anti-CM Punk. And if Punk won, I think we might have had like a Nexus revenge tour from Wade Barrett, like going back to the Nexus days. And he would come out of retirement and he would beat the crap out of CM Punk himself. But yeah, we move on to your boy, Cody Rhodes, against Solo Sikoa in a Bloodline Rules match. It felt like WrestleMania with all the people coming out again. And, I think once we heard that it was a Bloodline Rules match, that's kind of what we expected. So we got the return that we were all hoping for and we all expected. What does he call himself? The OTC, the original tribal chief, is back. And I'll tell you what, that pop was something. I still hold true to it. I think that pop was pretty spectacular. I mean, the crowd in Cleveland kind of sucked. No offense to anyone in Cleveland, but I thought for what it was worth, I thought it was a great outcome, great finish. Can't wait to see what happens tomorrow night on SmackDown.
The pop was good. It was no Chicago and CM Punk and Chicago pop, but it was good. Look, I'll give Roman, they've tried for many, many years to make Roman a babyface, and they finally figured it out. Good for him. Good for them. I like, of course we said all the interference, and that was just going to happen no matter what with the bloodline rules. I like the way Cody reacted. I like the way he reacted in the press conference. I like the way he reacted in the ring when he's pinning Solo and he's staring at Roman because he doesn't trust him. And that leads to, the future, a possibility of Roman getting, not just, Cody said in the press conference, not just one rematch. He's entitled to a couple rematches, which makes no sense, Cody, but whatever you want to do. But look, it was what we knew was going to happen. It's what the fans wanted. It's what, I'm sure we're going to see Paul Heyman back tomorrow on SmackDown. I'm sure we're going to see Jimmy. And, Jay said that once Roman comes back, I don't know, maybe we'll get an OG Bloodline reunion. Sammy's not doing anything right now. It's all written there. It's all there. And I'm just glad Cody won. He was one of the only champions to retain. So that made me very happy. The match was good. The stuff with Pharaoh was very heartwarming. And Arn Anderson was awesome. I even said a couple weeks ago that maybe the fans wouldn't know him, and he got a nice big pop when he showed up on screen, so I was happy about that. I think it's good. I think keep the Bloodline doing their thing. Cody, I have no idea who his next challenger will be. We'll have to figure that out. Randy, we should talk about it later, but Randy looks like he's not in the picture right now for Cody, so where does that leave my champ? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see, but everything was good. We all said Roman's going to come back, and he's back, so.
Yeah, and you know what? You just brought up Randy, but how could I forget that we actually do have one more match that happened at SummerSlam, and that was the man Randy's going to be facing now is the new world champion Gunther, defeating Damian Priest in where we saw the final nail in the coffin for the Judgment Day. Finn Balor comes down, he screws over Damian, and it solidified Damian Priest's face turn, that's for sure. And they made him look strong. He was, the way it was going, it looked like he was going to pin Gunther clean, and Gunther was going to get defeated. Clearly not. Finn had other plans. That man, Finn Balor, he's a snake. He's a demon. You never know what he's up to. The prince is back. I love, we talk about how everything counts in Triple H's new WWE. In the I believe it was the clubhouse scene or segment prior to Damian going out there where he was looking for Dom. He grabs Finn, and then they pan up, and they haven't really shown the Finn Balor demon face at all throughout this whole Judgment Day thing, and the mask that he wore when he turned into the Prince and turned on whoever in NXT. I'm blanking out on whoever it was, but those were there. Those were up on the top shelf. So you knew that something was coming and something was about to happen. And props to Triple H for laying it out there. And now, I'm excited to see what happens with the Judgment Day. And now, like you said, Gunther is now the world champion, and his first opponent is the Viper, Randy Orton.
Yeah, I think, the Finn turn was great. He's so much better as, not like they said there's no head of the Judgment Day, but just as the guy. I mean, he's been doing whatever with JD and, everything that's going on, but having the Judgment Day led by Finn, even though he's not led by anyone, is a good move. Damian is definitely in the babyface thing now, and Gunther it's his time. He worked his butt off for all this, and I agree with you. The match, at first I was like, are we really going to see, the betrayal here? But we did, and it came out perfectly, and I love what they're doing. And Gunther and Randy is going to be awesome. I believe it's in Germany, which makes sense. You need to have German champion face one of the biggest baby faces. And, Randy is, as much as he hates being a face, he's a face right now. So that makes perfect sense. And excited to see where they take everything.
Yeah, so let's move over to Monday Night Raw. It's the show after SummerSlam. We need a big show. We need a hot show. We can't let it go flat. And we start off with Gunther. He comes out. He's cutting a promo, and then out comes, like we just mentioned, the Viper, Randy Orton. Now, it kind of looked like Gunther was a little starstruck in this promo with Randy Orton. He looked a little hesitant. I'm not going to lie. And, you have people on X and wherever else on social media saying, how does Randy come over to Raw? He's a SmackDown wrestler, blah, blah, blah. But what people, if you think back for the King of the Ring, I think they mentioned it. They laid it out. Randy said, you didn't really beat me. And Triple H said that there will be a time and a place for it. And the time and the place is now. So what are your thoughts about leading up to this? I thought, we both thought that maybe Randy would turn on Cody at SummerSlam. Clearly, they're pushing that back for a little bit longer. They're going to keep Randy face for a little bit longer. But your thoughts for this first opponent being Randy Orton?
Yeah, like I said, I think for Gunther's first, defense, it needs to be, especially in Germany, you need to have some kind of a babyface that can take, if you have Gunther against Cody, even like Gunther's going to get cheered out of that building. And in my opinion, so you try and put Randy there. He's a big name. I was out Monday night with some people who don't watch wrestling anymore, and I was texting you guys about Randy, and my buddy was like, "Oh, he's still there." So like, you have people that don't even watch wrestling anymore who know who Randy is, and he'll bring that star power. He'll bring that babyface energy that they're going to need to go against such a big, homegrown name in Gunther. So I think it'll be. I like that it's coming back to the King of the Ring. We said when that match happened that his shoulders weren't down. They don't let anything go in this new era. If it's, we talk about it all the time, but everything's there for a reason, and it's coming right back to that. I think it's perfect. I really didn't want the Randy turn on Cody at SummerSlam. I wanted to wait because I didn't want Randy and then Roman. It would just be too jumbled for me. I think it would be too much. So I'm stoked that Cody's not facing him right away. I want it down the line, but I want it done right. So I'm all for Gunther and Randy, and let's get it. I'm excited.
So then we, to stay in Imperium, it looked like we had a returning Ludwig Kaiser. I know he was hurt for a few weeks. Him and Sheamus squared off. And, of course, with the Sheamus match right now comes a Pete Dunne interference trying to hurt Sheamus. Clearly, that match is going to happen eventually. I'm assuming Bad Blood. It looks like that's where they're leading up to. And that match between Pete Dunne and Sheamus is going to be incredible. Both of those guys are heavy hitters. They know what to do. They're going to steal the show, I believe, personally, at Bad Blood, if that's where the match, is official, like Adam Pearce would say. But Sheamus picks up the win, even with Pete Dunne trying to interfere. I thought it was a good start-off match. Keeps the rivalry building for Sheamus and Pete Dunne. I don't know if you want to add anything for that match.
Yeah, you pretty much nailed it. It's going to be a good match when they have it. That's obviously where they're headed, and I like what they're doing with Sheamus. They're keeping him involved, but he's not in any kind of massive thing. But it's got story, it's got legs, it's got history. So they'll beat the crap out of each other at Bad Blood, and I'll enjoy seeing it.
And then we have a segment. We have Damian Priest calling out Finn Balor. Now, this, I loved when Finn comes on the screen. It's a close-up of Finn, and Finn pretty much explains what happened. This has been coming for a long time. And he holds up a picture from the prior SummerSlam where Damian still had the Money in the Bank briefcase, and Finn Balor was fighting Seth Rollins for the World Championship. And he pretty much he screwed Finn. Damian screwed Finn with the briefcase. Seth picked up the victory. And then that's where it all started, and that's where it finishes. I love the pan out because Finn said, "I'm not worried about you. I'm going to take care of you when you forget about me." But there's other people that want to take care of you too. And then they zoomed out, and then they were Carlito, Dirty Dom, JD, and Liv Morgan. So clearly, the new Judgment Day. I loved the promo. I love the segment in general. I thought it was great. Can't wait to see what happens further with these guys. We had something later on when you had Damian versus JD, but any thoughts on the segment?
Yeah, I thought it was awesome. Again, it comes to Triple H's storytelling where everything matters, and to be able to pull things together like that is just something we didn't see as much in the Vince era, and I love it. I love that everything, as much as I love the wrestling, I'm a big fan of it meaning something, and that obviously means going back and tying things together with a nice bow in the top, and the Finn, Finn is awesome, and Damian is falling right into that babyface role, and the new Judgment Day, like we've said a couple times, like I've said a couple times, I love it. I love that they're going this direction with it. I think we said, or Ty said last week, that we don't think the Judgment Day is ever going to be over. It's going to be one of those revolving doors for heels maybe, or something like that, and I think that's a good idea. You need to have, we don't have as many factions these days as we would like, and to have Judgment Day survive, even though they lost two of the founding members, because Edge is obviously gone, and it was then Damian and Rhea. So, Finn came in after. So I think everything worked nicely. It's gonna pay off. It already is paying off, but I loved it. The segment was great. You kind of nailed everything I was gonna go for. So
Yeah. So then, next match, the name that I blanked out on earlier was Sonya Deville. So my apologies to her, but we had Lyra Valkyria versus Shayna Baszler. This match, clearly, with any match that Zoe Stark, Baszler, or Sonya Deville are involved in right now, it's ending in DQ, just to prove a point, to show that they're the superior trio of women on the Monday Night Raw roster. And then here comes Damage Control. So that's leading up to, I wouldn't say that this is leading up to Survivor Series, like a War Games between them. I don't know if it's going to go that route. It might. They could possibly get enough people, enough women. I think they only need 2 more on each side. So maybe, it could be the route that they're trying to go there. And maybe that's, Bailey comes back in for that side. But who knows? It was a good match. Lyra wins via DQ, and then Damage Control comes out, and they have a whole, standoff, little fight to end the clip, and head to commercial. But now we have CM Punk's promo, and this is where it gets interesting. Punk clearly states, it's weird because he's like, "Oh, I'm happy to be here, happy," but then Seth Rollins' music hits, and he's not done. He's not done with Punk, and they were about to go. They're about to square off, and then Drew's music hits, and then Drew's up in the crowd. He shows the bracelet, and he calls Larry and AJ by name, and that was it for Punk. Punk darts up the stairs. He jumps over the barricade, jumps up, starts chasing him, and out comes Bronson Reed. My goodness, what an impact this guy had. Just demolishes Seth Rollins. Tsunami after tsunami after tsunami after tsunami after tsunami, and maybe one more tsunami. It was incredible. You had the vision of Seth bleeding from the mouth as if he had some fractured ribs, clearly used to write Seth off for a little bit, and that's going to be the next rivalry for Seth. But man, if you want to talk about Bronson Reed like leaving a mark and an impact, that's the way you get it done. What are your thoughts on the whole segment in general?
Yeah, I mean, the Punk Drew stuff it's obviously not over. They're going to build that for as long as they could. Bad Blood is obviously a great place to do it. We kind of talked about that before. The promo was, a Punk promo. It's not going to be bad. Drew was great. He's really leaning into the villain thing. He's been for months and months and months. So that's all good. The Seth stuff, Bronson Reed is a tank. I mean, he was moving around like not that size of a man that he is. And I like this for Seth. Like I like this for Bronson Reed more than I like it for Seth. It feels like it's kind of a little side quest for Seth to get him away from Drew and Punk, which works because we've had, we know that Seth and Punk don't like each other, and that'll be down the line. Let Drew and Punk do the thing that they've built up the last couple months. Seth and Punk will come when it's ready, probably at WrestleMania, even if Drew's still involved with that triple threat, who knows. But I think Bronson Reed is, an impact is huge way to put it, because he just demolished Seth Rollins, and that's a big name to demolish. That means you got some people behind you that think that you're going to be there for a while, and you're going to be a guy that they can count on and work with and put into big storylines with big people, because Seth is not just a small name right now. He's one of the big guns. So I think it's a good move.
And I found it interesting how after I think it was the third or fourth tsunami, Baltimore wanted more. They wanted more tsunamis on a face Seth Rollins. Now I was like, if that was Cody, like it would be all booze. If that was Kevin Owens, like that would be all booze. Like the crowd almost like turned on Seth. Like they were like, hell yeah, let's see this. Keep squashing him. This is awesome. Like, do you have any thoughts on that? Like, do you think it's because Seth is kind of like, yeah, he's a face, but he's also like this arrogant kind of face? Like, do you think maybe that's why the crowd took to it like that?
Yeah, I think Seth, when he was this was 2 years ago now, but when he was wrestling Cody, he was a huge heel. Then he kind of was tweenerish, and then he really, with his theme song and stuff, kind of became by accident almost like a baby face, and he's kind of always been in the middle as of late. So I think they were, especially with the way he acted at SummerSlam, the way he acted towards SummerSlam, he has that chip on his shoulder. He was getting involved when maybe he shouldn't have been involved. They played it like no other refs wanted to take part of it, but he really made himself a big part of a match that maybe he shouldn't have, in a viewer's eyes, shouldn't have been a part of. So maybe that is like a little edge over to heel, but I'm sure when he comes back, like they'll want to see him beat the crap out of Bronson Reed and get his revenge and curb stomp him into next week and all that. But yeah, I think he's always been, at least in the current run, always been kind of a tweener. Even with his SummerSlam match with Drew, me and Ty were there at WrestleMania, and as much as he was getting cheered, Drew was getting cheered too. So like he was in the middle there, even though he was face champion. So yeah, I think he could. I like Seth more as a heel. I think does great work as a heel. So I'll take him being heel. But I think when he comes back, he'll be babyface again. Come up broken ribs, whatever. He'll be fine.
And then talk about big men. One big man finally debuted after I don't know how long. He was drafted to Raw 2 drafts ago, and we haven't seen this man. And I know we made a joke after the last draft. Hopefully this man will get drafted again. And he did. Back to Raw. Odyssey Jones from Long Island, New York. Odyssey made a statement. The match that he came and he debuted in, it was the AOP versus the New Day. The New Day picks up the win over AOP. I don't know where that leads. That whole group, I kind of showed something with the Final Testament because they've been picking on Xavier Woods for a while. And it looked like backstage when the New Day were talking to Odyssey Jones, it didn't seem like Xavier Woods was overly happy about it. So maybe that was Cross getting into his head. Maybe that's where that'll lead. I don't know if we're going to see the dismemberment or the disbandment of the New Day. But, man, the way that Odyssey Jones lifted up both of the AOP, it's Akam and Razor, both had them side handle slams, both of them at the same time. He's been waiting for his moment for a while. I know they've said that he's just been in the performance center ever since he was drafted, just waiting for the moment. And boy, did he not miss. Thoughts on our own Long Island native finally making his debut on Raw?
Very surprising because, as you said, we've been talking about him for a while, and he's been nowhere to be found besides the draft, which is where he only showed up. So I thought it was a great impact. I think he's, again, another big guy that they want to get involved. I know he's been training with, in the Performance Center, he's been training with TJ and Natty too, I think. That's what TJ said. But, good for him. Good for him finally getting on television, getting his break, getting out there and looking strong when he did it. And we'll see. We'll see where that takes him. But I was happy to hear it. I was happy to see it. And we've been joking about that for so long. We can't joke about it anymore. So
he's finally, I mean, it's not like Veer Mahan, but it's Odyssey Jones, and he's here to make a statement. Can't wait to see what unfolds with Odyssey Jones on Monday Night Raw. But speaking about Long Island, like, this is totally off topic, but Long Island's like a little hotbed for professional wrestlers, huh?
Yeah, I mean, we're cranking them out lately. I think, as I hope my buddy Shane doesn't listen to this, but I think it has a lot to do with Creative Pro, Pat Buck, Kurt Hawkins. I mean, NYWC has had, Ryder, Hawkins, Pat Burke, Jesus, Pat Buck, and all these guys. But Creative Pro is just sending guys everywhere. So good for us, good for the island, good to represent.
I mean, my wife knows Johnny Silver from back in the high school days. So Johnny Silver's there. So shout out to you, Johnny Silver, if you're somehow listening to this. MJF, Chris Statlander. It just goes on and on and on and on and on. And it's crazy. It's incredible that Long Island has turned into like this little hotbed for professional wrestlers. Tony Nese, the list just goes on and on. But shout out to, like you said, Creative Pro and NYWC. It's crazy. So if you're on Long Island and you can go to one of those shows, definitely check it out because they are well worth it. But let's continue on with Raw. We kind of had this pointless match between R-Truth, the Awesome Truth versus A-Town Down. A-Town Down picks up the win. You kind of see Miz get frustrated. It looked like he was about to turn on Truth. Are we done with face Miz already? Are we gonna see the heel turn again? Like, is that like, I
don't know. I just think R-Truth has been hilarious, and I think at SummerSlam he called Jelly Roll Post Malone in his tweet, which I was losing my mind laughing because that's just so good. I mean, he's just been, he's always been a comedy act, at least in the last 10, 15 years. But yeah, I mean, heel Miz, I don't really care. Whatever. He's better as a heel, but they obviously are teasing something, but it really doesn't. It's not something I'm.
Yeah, that match, there was really no point to it unless you're trying to prove a point that the Miz might turn on R-Truth. We move on to JD McDonough versus Damian Priest. Clearly, this match had a lot building up to it just because of what had previously happened at SummerSlam. Clearly, you knew that everyone was going to get involved in this match, and you see Damian taking control. Damian's beating everyone up, and then Liv comes out, and then you hear Rhea's music hit, and boy, did the place go crazy. She runs down. She gives a nice little mean headbutt to Liv Morgan. She starts just destroying Liv, and you see Dirty Dom run. Everyone scrams, and you have Priest defeating McDonough via disqualification because everyone jumped in. That we kind of knew it was just going to turn into a brawl. But that just further builds what's going on there. Then you had Io Sky, Sonya Deville. Io Sky defeated Sonya Deville clean for the first time. It's kind of crazy with, I just said before, Sonya Deville, Shayna Baszler, and Zoe Stark. There's always a DQ. But that just leads up to, that just keeps building that fire. And then this is the match I wanted to talk to you about, the Wyatt Six. Now, they came out to Bray's old music. It was crazy how they had the chair. They had Bray's chair with the light on it. Nikki Cross picks it up. So they start walking down. I love how they had Uncle Howdy, Bo Dallas sitting in the chair like Bray did back in the day, where he would watch Luke Harper and Eric Rowan fighting as a part of the Wyatt family and just moving back and forth just as if he was Bray, like embracing everything. Your thoughts on just the whole production, not just the match, the production of it all?
Yeah, I mean, I got like chills and goosebumps watching it but that's literally happened probably every Wyatt Six segment because Bo, it's like crazy how he has all the movements down. And I mean, they were brothers, so like I get that, but it's just like, it gives me like goosebumps up to my arm when I watch it. And it's so awesome that they're making sure that they incorporate everything because this was supposed to be his, new, thing before he passed. So they've been just killing it production wise. Everything that those little details that they put in that you don't even notice until after Raw when someone spots it on Twitter or, like we were talking about last week with someone having the Hawaiian shirt underneath the jacket and just little things like that it's just been amazing. The production quality is just next level, and it really is unfortunate that Bray passed. I mean, it's unfortunate in general, but just not having the ability to really sink his teeth into a Triple H WWE where he could have just it would have been as good as it is. Bo was really killing it. Everyone's killing it. Everyone's stepping up and doing all their jobs perfectly. They know exactly what they are, who they are, what they're supposed to do. It's been amazing.
Yeah, and I loved, the tribute to Luke Harper. Eric Rowan got the hot tag, and he was on the apron. He did what Luke does, and then he did the somersault over the ropes. It was perfect. I thought the right winners, the Wyatt Six went over. Joe Gacy looked incredible. Like for his first main roster match, he looked incredible. They look like they belong, and I'm excited to see where it goes. Now, do they still feud with American Made? I don't know. Kind of just put them down. So we'll see where it goes now. Maybe they find someone else to pick on about family and about backstabbing your family. Who knows? I look forward to where it's going. I thought Raw was great after SummerSlam. I thought the only negative part was just that awesome truth match. I didn't think it was needed, but I guess it was a little time filler. Your thoughts on the show overall?
Yeah, it was everything that needed to happen happened. We talked last week about how Raw last week was a little underwhelming, being the go home show before SummerSlam, but as I stated earlier, they called it a storyline show. SummerSlam was wrapping a lot of stuff up, so I get it. And Raw hit on everything it needed to hit on. I have a feeling SmackDown's going to do the same thing. There's plenty SmackDown could jump into. Obviously, the big thing being Roman and the new bloodline versus the OG bloodline. And, who's going to face Cody and LA Knight's new champ and Nia Jax. And it's really everything came together on Raw. I'm sure it'll come together on SmackDown, and I thought it was a great show.
Yeah, so we have a little bit of time left. Let's just dive into. We won't dive deeply into Dynamite, but I just want your thoughts. We clearly started off with MJF and Kyle Fletcher, which I thought was an interesting choice by Tony Khan. I clearly thought the match was great. I thought it clearly should have been the main event. They went with Bryan Danielson versus Jeff Jarrett. I don't know, head scratcher. But what'd you think about the MJF match? Clearly, it's building up to him and Ospreay again. Will Ospreay was kind of like locked in a closet backstage where he couldn't help. It was weird. But it's MJF, and MJF delivers. I don't know why this match opened up the show.
Yeah, it was weird. I would flip flop it, like you said. I would have Danielson and Jarrett, open, and have MJF and Fletcher close. But that's just Tony Khan for you. He sees Jeff Jarrett and he's like, "Oh, main event." But I thought it was a good match. I mean, obviously it's all leading to Ospreay and MJF again, but it was good. It was good. I mean, I don't know why he was locked in the closet. I don't know why he wasn't able to get out and help. It was, again, I really have been trying to watch more of AEW and give it more a chance, but then you see stuff like that and it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and then I wanted to, I'm not going to go through the whole card like I just said, but I brought it up last week, and I don't know if it's Mercedes Moné, like when she was Sasha. I don't know if it was her following the WWE scripts for the promos that helped her, but she just looks lost. Like the promos are just so poorly executed in my mind. Like she has like no aura. The crowd they don't seem to care about her. And she was hyped up and hyped up and hyped up after all this time, and I truthfully think it's flopping. Thankfully they had Britt Baker, Tony Schiavone came on and said that Tony Khan reversed the suspension that the Young Bucks gave Britt Baker, and then Britt popped up via webcast or whatever and pretty much said that she's going to be at Dynamite next week to hunt down Mercedes Moné. But yeah, it's just the promo. I don't know what it is, but it's just not doing it for me with Mercedes Moné. And the promos that she's giving, it's just doing absolutely nothing for me.
Yeah, it's been like cringy almost. Even like the promo on AEW was very like I watched it and I'm just like, like it might be that she's writing her own stuff, doing her own stuff when the NWA she was handed say this, say this, say this, and you can fill whatever you want. But it's just been not great. And like even her posts on social media, like her little Instagram stories or whatever she's posting, the ones that I've seen, it's just like even if she's in character, it's like it's not working for me. It's just too cringy. And like I get when you're a heel, you want to be overly cringy sometimes, but it's not working. And Britt Baker, kind of saved the segment, which is funny because she wasn't even physically there, or if she was back, whatever. They didn't play it off that way. But yeah, Mercedes can still go in the ring but just, I don't know, give her like a mic, give her like a mouthpiece because it's not working.
Yeah, and so then clearly we just mentioned that they end the show with an anything goes match between Jeff Jarrett and Bryan Danielson. Just clearly Bryan Danielson's going to win everything up until All In to kind of give him that momentum. Maybe he'll win there, maybe he won't. I'm sure we'll discuss that at a later date as we still have 2 to 3 weeks left up until All In at Wembley. I just wanted to dive into a little rumor, boys, here. According to a few different dirt sheets, the Lucha Bros might be heading to WWE. So you have Rey Fenix and Pentagon. Apparently talks have already been happening with them in WWE. That's why they are no longer pretty much in the works for All In. They said that they want to be a package and that they don't want to start out at NXT. So Sierra Miedo, I would love to see them, especially if they can also, the rumors are that the Motor City Machine Guns are heading to WWE as well. Man, if you could add those two tag teams, the whole division and the whole landscape of WWE changes. Like the matches, I couldn't even imagine. Like DIY versus these two teams. Are you kidding me? It's just pure excitement. I hope we see them soon. I know there's still some names for the Bloodline that have yet to debut. So it's just exciting times. It's just an exciting world of wrestling that we're in right now. It's hot. It's popular. Shows are selling out before matches are even announced. So it's just a great time. Any words to say before we close up the show?
No, just to touch on tag teams for a second. I think it really needs a shot in the arm, and those two teams can absolutely be it. Like you said, DIY, you got plenty of tag teams running around WWE, but no real structure of, a tag team division. I mean, there is obviously a tag team division, but it's very jumpy. It's very, okay, the title has changed hands like 10 times since WrestleMania, I feel like. So give me all the tag teams and give me all the crazy matches and crazy ladder matches and tables matches, whatever. Give it up. I'll take it all.
But that's going to do it for this episode. That's going to put a bow on it. We're putting a pile driver through the table right now on this episode. A lot of big things planned for this podcast. I know Ty couldn't be here tonight, but all three of us are in the works. We're excited for the future and what the future has to hold for this podcast as a whole. Thank you all for tuning in, liking, listening to the video, watching the video on YouTube, watching our content that we're putting on TikTok, Instagram, all that good stuff. If you could subscribe, hit the subscribe button on YouTube, 5 stars, give us a review, tell us how much you hate me. I don't know. Just do something for us. But that's going to be it. Until next week, we will see you later. Peace.